There are four key focus areas for peer observation. These are the planning and the organisation of the session. Also, there are the strategies, the teaching strategies that the teacher is using, and the resources that they're using to teach. The other two focus areas are the actual management of the session, the presentation of ideas, and also then the assessment and monitoring of student learning. So peer observation in terms of planning and content actually focuses on the purposes of teaching, that they should be clear and overtly stated, that there are clear objectives and aims for the lesson so that outcomes can be measured. And the teaching purposes are appropriate to the needs of the students, their experiences, as well as their abilities as learners. In terms of observing the planning and the content, it would be good for the observer to look at how the lesson is structured in terms of introduction and content, development of ideas and learning, and then how the lesson is concluded and then ultimately evaluated. It's also useful to look at the appropriateness of the content for the students in terms of the level that they're working about, the ability of the students, also the interests and the needs of the students. And so the observer is looking to see that the content is not only well researched but up to date and relevant. In terms of looking at teaching strategies and resources, the observer is checking that the methods are appropriate for the purpose of the session, and also that the methods chosen are appropriate to the students, their abilities, their needs and interests. And what this means is that the methods which the teacher is using are clearly seen to be chosen to gain the interest of the learners and to support participation of learners in the session. In terms of the classroom management, the observer is checking to see that the individual teacher is managing the class effectively and appropriately in terms of the number of people in the classroom and the activities they're engaging with. For resources, the observer is checking that the resources are appropriate and effectively used, that they complement the content and the structure of the lesson, and they support clearly the aims and outcomes. And in terms of the management, the overall management of the lesson, the observer is looking for things like effective communication skills and presentation of ideas and concepts, and that the individual teacher is questioning students and asking students to question the content of the lesson, so that there is an interactive learning process taking place. And in terms of management, the observer is looking at student contributions and participation in the lesson, and therefore looking at the environment and whether the environment is conducive to that level of participation. And in terms of assessing and monitoring, the observer wants to see that the individual teacher is monitoring learning throughout the individual lesson, and also looking at suitable and appropriate methods for assessing students. And part of this aspect of teaching, of course, is about the teacher's continual use of feedback to the students in a constructive way, so that this enhances learning.